Just as in Destiny 1, we had the Kvostov come back as an exotic, and that was the starting weapon from the tutorial mission. We get the Traveler's Chosen, Destiny 2's kind of tutorial weapon, coming back here as an exotic. And honestly, I was really excited for this weapon, and I was pretty anticipant of it, and I think it lived up to its expectations. Upon seeing the weapon in the database initially, I had pretty high hopes for it. It looked like it had really good stats, an ideal archetype, and a pretty decent exotic perk. And like I mentioned, I think it definitely lives up to my expectations, and I'm gonna go as far as saying this is the best sidearm in the game. This is my choice. Previously, it was Drang. I think this, even though Drang still has that unique zoom level over this, so Drang will always be relevant, and of course it's a legendary, I do think this sidearm is better overall than the Drang. And even though it's a sidearm, it is a kinetic exotic weapon meant for close range, which does put it in contention to compete with the Last Word, and I actually think this weapon gives the Last Word a run for its money. The Traveler's Chosen has two unique perks. Firstly is Gathering Light, and secondly is Gift of the Traveler. Gathering Light says final blows with this weapon, so kills with a weapon grant stacks of Gathering Light. Consume stacks, granting melee, grenade, and class ability energy based on the number of stacks you consume. Gift of the Traveler says that each stack that you've accumulated of Gathering Light improves the weapon's reload, handling, and target acquisition, aka the aim assist cone on the sidearm. So when you're using this weapon in PvP, every time you get a kill or a final blow on a Guardian, you get 3 stacks of Gathering Light. I'm gonna go over firstly how gaining these stacks with Gift of the Traveler affects your weapon performance. Starting with our handling, our base swap speed when I was using a quick draw Beloved with this weapon was 24 frames. Now with 3 stacks, that went down to 22 frames, and with 6 stacks, it was 20 frames, and that actually caps out at 6 stacks because at 9 stacks, it was about the same 20 frames. It's important to remember, everyone, though, there is a lot of potential human error that goes into counting animations with this specific frame, so it might be a little less, a little bit more, I'm not sure, but I was fairly certain after 6 stacks it capped out and there wasn't really a difference. And I measured the swap speed by looking at the stow time of the Beloved when it began swapping to the time it took to fire the Traveler's Chosen once I drew it out. For our reload speed, I looked from the start of the animation to when the ammo counter in the bottom left reset and refilled. And with 3 stacks, I was able to reload in 37 frames. With 6 stacks, it reduced further to 33 frames, but just like before for handling, at 9 stacks, I didn't really see a difference and stayed at about 33 frames. So it seems after 3 stacks, that's the biggest gain in weapon performance, and after that, there's a bit of diminishing returns and it caps out at 6 stacks in terms of improving the weapon's performance itself. Now, as far as aim assist, I attempted to look at the aim assist cones, went to the Garden of Cones and tried to look at this ADS in third person, and although I felt I saw a small difference when comparing in Photoshop, it was so slight that I don't think it's recognizable if there's one at all in terms of what we could read from the crosshairs. Either way though, the aim assist is quite high on the weapon already, and it wouldn't surprise me if it only took 3 stacks to max this out, since the other stats are far lower. The aim assist of the weapon is at a base 80. I don't know if that's taking into account the sights that are on it already, because DIM is not fully loading weapon rolls right now at the current moment, but it's at least 80. And the other stats, handling is 59, reload is 46, and it only took 2 kills worth, or 6 stacks, to max both those stats out from such a low value that I really wouldn't doubt that it only takes 3 stacks to increase the aim assist to 100 maybe. Especially if you plan on using this with enhanced sidearm targeting, which I would recommend. That's going to be at a base 90 at least, which means I'm pretty confident 1 kill or 3 stacks is going to boost that aim assist to 100. For that thick, consistent aim assist cone that we all love. As far as the Gathering Light perk and being able to consume these stacks to give yourself melee, grenade, and class ability energy, consuming 3 stacks gave you about 35 to 40% ability energy, I want to say. It looked like just under half of the cooldown diagram. At 6 stacks, it gave you about 60 to 70%. Being generous on the 70%, it looked more like 60% ability energy. It was slightly above half on the little cooldown diagram. And at 9 stacks, it gave you just about, I want to say 95% ability energy. It was nearly the whole cooldown diagram being filled with just a little bit that took a few seconds to finish and top off. As far as the stats on the weapon and its archetype, it's really, really good. It's the 300 RPM archetype, which is my favorite. I think it's the best mix of a good, fast time to kill, like really great potential, but also still relatively forgiving in terms of how the fire rate feels and in terms of its body shot time to kill. You get a 0.6 second time to kill in 4 critical hits and a 1 second time to kill in 6 body shots. That means you can actually get a 2 crit 3 body kill in 0.8 seconds, which is plenty possible. 2 critical hits is really not difficult, especially with a sidearm with such high range, stability, great recoil, and high aim assist, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But with all those stats combined, that's really not difficult to hit 2 out of 5 headshots. And that's for a time to kill that rivals the optimal time to kill of 150 RPM hand cannons and the 4 body shot kill of the Last Word. So as I mentioned, in my opinion, this is very much the ideal sidearm archetype. Now in terms of stats, it has 82 range, 68 stability, 59 handling, 46 reload, 80 aim assist, 12 zoom, 85 recoil direction, and 15 bullets in its mag. I think this thing has the highest combination of range, stability, and aim assist on a sidearm in the game, and you know, that's going to make it feel amazing and really good, because those are all the things responsible for how the cones work. This thing has amazing cones, and when you got amazing cones on a weapon, it's gonna feel great. Drang does have the unique zoom on a sidearm, so it has hand cannon level zoom 14 versus the 12 on Traveler's Chosen, and that'll always make it unique in terms of potential and effectiveness because it does get more range as a result of that increased zoom. That being said, the range stat itself on Drang isn't as high at its best potential of 72 as the 82 on the Traveler's Chosen. That's going to make up for a bit of that lost zoom. It's going to make sure that the weapon still feels great at long range or longer ranges for the weapon with higher accuracy, better aim assist, and then it's also going to make it so that since it's low zoom, it's probably going to feel better than Drang up close. Damage drop off on this weapon starts at about 18 meters. I want to say 17.5 to 18 meters, which isn't quite as good as Drang's. That starts somewhere around, I believe, 20 meters. But oddly enough is where the Last Word also starts getting its damage drop off. So I think Traveler's Chosen in a weird way can actually compete with the Last Word in terms of its performance in the same range. The stability on the gun felt great, didn't really jump too much, and when combined with that massive range stat, made it feel like you could actually use this at some considerable ranges. And the recoil direction was pretty much entirely vertical, which is great because it needs to be consistent again so that you can use it well at range against hand cannons and other weapons. So even though you start getting damage drop off at about 18 meters, you can probably compete up to around 20, maybe low 20 meters because of the combination of range, stability, and consistent recoil direction on this weapon, which again makes it feel phenomenal. I've been saying this through the whole video, but I really think Traveler's Chosen gives the Last Word a run for its money. The downside of this weapon versus the Last Word is the Last Word gets more potential. It gets that potential 0.53 second time to kill if you land the 3-tap from the hip, but the fact of the matter is you're probably not doing that very consistently. And at the same time, the Traveler's Chosen TTK is comparable. It's a 0.6, so very, very slightly slower, but it's still in the ballpark with it. Of course, the hipfire body shot time to kill of the Last Word is great because it only takes 4 body shots. It's really not high demand. And to get that same time to kill of 0.8 seconds with Traveler's Chosen, you do have to hit 2 headshots. Again, I don't think that's difficult, but technically that's a 1-up for the Last Word. The downside of the Last Word and why you might want to use this weapon is because the Last Word heavily relies on you getting the fanfire stacks from landing shots from the hip and that accuracy buff to make sure you continue to land shots, especially headshots, that are important for it. Because you pretty much have to hip fire the Last Word, you start to struggle when people are playing cover well against you, and sometimes the shots don't land very accurately, or in the air they do suffer because again you have to hip fire, which has inherently less accuracy than ADSing. Of course, after you get the fanfire buff, it gets better and far more consistent, or if you pair with Lucky Pants. But Traveler's Chosen gets a leg up on the last word because you can ADS, you can jump with it and maintain really good in-air accuracy. It's got low recoil. Some people aren't as good as hip firing either, and they want the steadiness of ADSing, and that's where Traveler's Chosen is really going to shine. I think that while last word has the potential to be slightly more lethal, I think Traveler's Chosen is actually going to be a more consistent option overall for the majority of players. And again, I really think that this does have what it takes to be as competitive as the last word. And well, if it's that, then I'd say it's safe to say it's probably the best sidearm. So that's all I got for you guys on the Traveler's Chosen. Now I'm going to plug my Twitch. Twitch.tv/Drewskys is where you can find me if you want to see me more often than on YouTube. I am on Twitch far more these days, so I hope to see you guys there. If you decide to come by, say hello. And thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.